moved on to pastures new, and Barbara, for one, is distraught. Is it too late for our heroine to put things right and find her own happiness?
The Carlingford Chronicles by Margaret Oliphant. Miss Marshbanks, dramatised in 4 parts by Elizabeth Proud, with Elizabeth Spriggs as Mrs. Oliphant, Teresa Gallagher as Miss Lucilla Marshbanks, Keith Drinkle as Mr. Cavendish, Christopher Scott as Mr. Ashburton, and Roy Hanlon as the Doctor. Episode 4. The Battle Lost and Won.
The very day after Archdeacon Beverley's wedding to Mrs. Mortimer, Mr. Cavendish left to spend the winter in Italy.
It has long been a dream of mine.
He made very brief and formal adieus to Lucilla, to the extreme amazement of all the surrounding world. And then disappeared. Well, leaving a wonderful blank behind him. Lucilla felt it acutely.
The most popular man in Carlingford. Gone! And the worst of it is, I am universally blamed for his departure.
He went away to escape having to propose to Lucilla.
No. I believe that Lucilla refused him.
Lucilla sent him packing to get him out of the clutches of Barbara Lake, if you ask me.
Oh. It was with this last impression that Rose Lake made her way through the autumn leaves to see if any explanation was to be got from Miss Marshbanks.
You have behaved a little strange, Lucilla. If he cared for Barbara and she cared for him, you had no right to come and take him away.
Oh, dear, I did not take him away. I had to talk to him about some business, that was all.
And what right had you to come and drag us to your great parties? You made Barbara come and sing and put things into her head. It is all your fault.
I don't know why you should all turn against me like this. I do all I can for my friends and they are never pleased. And when anything goes wrong, it is always my fault.
Perhaps if you were not to do so much. Well, never mind. I am ashamed to ask you, but do you know where Mr. Cavendish is, Lucilla? She is breaking her heart because he has gone away.
Did he never go to say goodbye or anything? No. He has gone to Italy. But he will come back, and I suppose she can wait.
It is as good as putting an end to my career. And just after my designs have been so successful, I won a prize, you know, in an exhibition in Kensington. And I shall have to give up everything, and I can't help feeling it, Lucilla.
Tell me what is the matter, and perhaps we can do something.
She has made up her mind and advertised in the Times. Nothing can change it now. She is going out for a governess, Lucilla.
Going for a... what?
A governess, with no objections to travel.
She is a selfish thing. She always was. I should like to know what she can teach anybody. I would not give in to her. Why should she stop your career?
Why? Because there is nobody else to do anything, Lucilla. The twins are so little, and there are all the boys to think of, and poor Papa. But I am quite happy. Oh, well, it is her heart, you know. It is only my career.
It was thus, amid universal demolition, that Miss Marshbanks ended the first portion of her career. Years passed, and the period arrived at which Lucilla had thought she might perhaps have begun to go off in her looks.
And when most people have husbands.
By this time, the drawing-room carpets and curtains had faded a little, and nobody could have thought that to marry now would be in the least degree to swindle the doctor. Thus, the moment had arrived to which she looked forward.
But the man has not arrived with it.
Unless he might happen to be a Mr. Ashburton, who was related to Sir John and Lady Richmond.
A family much respected in the county.
Oh, yes. Mr. Ashburton has become quite an asset to our society ever since he came to live in the Firs.
A legal man, very
Mr. Candidate. And then occurred an event which had been long expected.
Dead, Mr. Chiltern.
Yes, poor dear old man.
For my part, I wonder he's lived so long.
Yes, 10 years ago, you know, his death was looked for every day.
It will mean an election.
Mr. Ashburton, is it you? Oh. My mind was quite full of you. I have something very particular to say.
Oh, to me? What you have said already is so flattering.
I did not mean anything absurd. Mr. Ashburton, do you know that old Mr. Chiltern is dead?
It is not my fault.
It is not anything to laugh about. Somebody else must be member for Carlingford. That was why I told you that my mind was full of you. I'm not in the least superstitious, but when I stood there, just in front of Mr. Holden's, you came into my mind like a flash of lightning. If it was not an intimation, I don't know what it was. Mr. Ashburton, it is you who must be the man.
Oh, Miss Marshbanks, I don't know how to answer you. You are the only creature in Carlingford, man or woman, that has divined me.
Come home with me and let us talk it over.
Miss Marshbanks.
Mr. Ashburton, tell me what is the first thing that must be done.
Well, if I could ask you to be on my committee, but unfortunately you can't.
No,
Let me
but
tell you
Papa
about...
could be on the committee, and old Colonel Chiley, who is such a one for politics, and of course your relation, Sir John Richmond. That will be a very good beginning. And after that...
My dear Miss Marshbanks, Sir John takes exactly the other side in politics. And I'm afraid the Doctor and the Colonel are not of the same way of thinking. And then my opinion...
If they are not of the same way of thinking, we must make them. After having such an intimation, I'm not going to be put off for a trifle. And besides, what does it matter about opinions? I'm sure I've heard you all saying over and over that the thing was to have a good man. If you just say distinctly that you are the best man.
It would be an odd thing to say for oneself.
I would not pay the least attention to Tories or Whigs or anything of the sort. For my part, I don't see any difference.
Miss Marshbanks, I should like to read you my address to the constituency.
If you were to read it to me, I should be sure to be convinced that you were quite right. And then I should be no good, you know. Mr. Ashburton, it is the man that is wanted.
I will think over what you say, and if... Well, at all events, I shall not issue my address till I have thought it all over.
You are going to stop to lunch. Somebody is sure to come. And you know you must not lose any opportunity of seeing people. I'm so glad tonight is Thursday. Tell me just one thing, Mr. Ashburton, before anyone comes. There is one thing that is really important and must be fixed upon.
What? About reform, huh? I have expressed myself very clearly.
Reform? I was not thinking of reform.
Oh.
I was thinking what your colours were to be. I would not have anything to do with the old colours for my part. They would be as bad as opinions, you know. You may laugh, but I'm quite in earnest.
Well, I am sure I don't know anything about colours, any more than you do about opinions. I think they are equally unimportant, to say the least. I shall adopt the colours of my fair counsellor.
Blue and yellow are the old colours, and you are the new man, you know, and we must not meddle with these antiquated things. Do you think this would do?
Violet and green. Well,
just a little violet.
If they are your colours, they shall be mine.
That will be Major Brown and his daughters. You will stay for lunch. I do feel that the thing is not to consider Whigs nor Tories, Major, but a good man.
Absolutely. We can't have a tip-topper, you know, and what I should like to see is a man that knows the place, look after Carlingford. That's what we're all looking for, eh?
There now, Mr. Ashburton.
Mr. Ashburton dashed off his new address 10 minutes after he'd taken leave of the company and put the other one in the fire.
Yes.
Carlingford had rarely been more excited by any public event than it was by the address of the new candidate, who had the boldness to come before them without uttering any political creed.
The enlightened electors of Carlingford do not demand, like other less educated constituencies, a system of political doctrines cut and dry. What they want is an honest man, resolved to do his duty by his country, his borough, and his constituency.
And Miss Marshbanks, like another Joan of Arc, wearing a knot of ribbons, violet and green in her hair, was there to inspire and lead him on. A day or two after Mr. Ashburton had been revealed to Lucilla as the predestined member, Aunt Jemima was expected in Grange Lane. She was the mother of Tom Marshbanks and was not a frequent visitor at Carlingford, for she and the doctor had various points on which they were not of accord.
It would have been a much more sensible arrangement if I had had the boy. Mrs. John has spoiled him. Besides, I cannot bear hypochondriacs.
It's his want of sympathy for people who are delicate, like me. Besides, it would have been a better arrangement if I had had the girl.
Dear Aunt Jemima, I'm so sorry you've not been well. Tell me when you heard from Tom and what he's doing. Let me see, it's 10 years since he went to India.
10 years, yes.
I used to write to him, but he did not answer my letters. Not as he ought, you know. I suppose he has found friends among the Calcutta ladies.
He never says anything to me about that. To tell the truth, I always thought before he went away that he was fond of you. I must have been mistaken, as he never said anything. And that was very fortunate at all events. For you know, Lucilla, you never could have done for a poor man's wife.
Well, I don't mean to be any man's wife just now. I'm too busy electioneering.
Well, Mrs. John, safely arrived, I see.
Yes, rather. Though travelling always brings on my palpitations, you know.
Do you want some tea, Papa?
No, I'm ready for my dinner. So, Mrs. John, how is Tom? Doing well, I trust? Does he intend to come home?
Well...
much better not. Now is his time to do something worthwhile.
Tom is not one to think merely of worldly advantages. I'd rather see him come home and be happy for my part, even if he were not so rich.
If all men were happy that came home. Somebody has come home that you did not reckon on, Lucilla. I don't know when I've been more surprised. Of course you were not looking for that, eh? It's at the top of the page.
Oh, the Carlingford Gazette is always so inky. Good heavens, Mr. Cavendish!
Yes, returned and standing for election. I thought you would be surprised. I don't see how you're going to get out of it, Lucilla. You see, young ladies should let these sort of things alone.
Thank you all the same, Papa, for bringing me the paper. It would have been a great deal worse if I had not known of it before I saw him. Aunt Jemima, you must be longing for your dinner. Let us go and get ready directly.
Oh, thank you, Lucilla. I am rather...
Tell him I shall be so glad to see him, Papa, though he's sure to think I've gone off. Come along, Aunt. I don't think I am quite so gone off as I expected to be. Though, of course, he will think me stouter. But you know, Papa, it does not make any difference about Mr. Ashburton being the right man for Carlingford.
In an instant, that determination not to be beaten, which is the soul of British valour, sprang up in Miss Marshbanks's mind.
It is hard to go in the face of old friendships, but if I am ever to hold up my head again, it is necessary to fight the battle to the last, and at all risks, to win.
Is this Mr. Cavendish a very particular friend? Because if you are engaged to anyone, Lucilla, I must say I think I ought to have been told. I am your nearest relation.
My dear Aunt, how could I be engaged to a man who has been away 10 years? It's to do with the election.
Tom has been away 10 years? Well, that is... I don't see what you can have to do with the election, Lucilla.
I have the favours to make, Aunt Jemima. Green and violet. You used to be so clever at making bows, and I hope you will help me. Papa, you know, will have to be on Mr. Ashburton's committee. That is, if Mr. Cavendish has not driven everything topsy-turvy. I shall go and visit the Childs tomorrow.
Come here by the fire, Lucilla. You know, she does not like to leave her sofa on these wintry days.
Dear Mrs. Charlie.
Does it snow much?
A little.
I felt sure you would come, Lucilla. Make haste and tell us everything, my dear.
You mean about Mr. Cavendish? I saw it in the papers like everybody else, but I don't know anything more.
Poor dear. To think how he must have rushed home the first moment. Oh, I could have cried when I read that address.
I don't see why anyone should cry. I think he makes a great deal too much of rushing home. He might have come home ever so many years ago if he had liked.
Lucilla! That's the first rational word I've heard on the subject. She thinks he's a kind of saint and martyr. A silly young fellow that runs off among a set of Frenchmen, but he can't get everything his own way. And then he expects that we're all to go into transports of joy and give him our boat.
Oh, let the fire alone. You'll burn us all in our beds like that. For my part, I would give Mr. Cavendish all my votes if I had 100. I hope you are not going to forsake old friends.
No, I hope I shall never desert my old friends. But to change from one side to the other and go back from my word is a thing abhorrent to me. And I still think that it is Mr. Ashburton who is the right man for Carlingford.
Oh, Lucilla, I do not understand you. Where could you find anybody nicer than Mr. Cavendish? And what possible reason can you have to care about that other man?
It was like a special intimation. I was just opposite Mr. Holden's when it came into my mind like a flash of lightning that Mr. Ashburton was the man. If I had been very intimate with poor dear old Mr. Chiltern, or if I had believed in spirit rapping, I should think it was a message from him.
Oh, if it had been, I don't see how having been dead for a few hours should make his advice worth having. It never was good for anything when he was alive. And you don't believe in spirit rapping, I hope.
I knew you would laugh, but I cannot help it. I'm so glad I have no vote. It does not matter to anybody what I think. But if I had anything to do with it, I could not stand up for Mr. Cavendish when I felt sure that Mr. Ashburton is the right man.
What does the doctor think? Ashburton doesn't say a word about his principles and...
Dear Colonel Chiley, he is not going to be Prime Minister. And I have always heard you say that it was not opinions, you know, but a good man that people wanted. I always remember you saying that and thinking it was the only sensible thing that was said. But of course, I don't understand politics.
By George, I believe Lucilla is in the right.
The fire is very nice. I hate to have the fire poked when it does not want it.
Oh.
Lucilla, if you make him go over to that Mr. Ashburton's side, I will never forgive you.
I shan't say another word. Oh, people can't help what they believe, you know. Goodbye, dear Mrs. Chiley.
If you have any particular reason, Lucilla, you ought to tell me.
I always tell you everything. Goodbye.
Goodbye, my dear.
Bye, my dear. By George, Lucilla was in the right of it.
Well, of course, if she has any particular reason for it, it would make a great difference.
Yes. On Grange Lane, the snow was still falling.
Good morning, Mrs. Woodburn.
Oh, is it really you, Lucilla? I want to speak to you. Of course, you have heard of Harry's coming home.
I read it in the papers.
Yes. And you know you always used to say he ought to be in Parliament? Well, I hope you are going to help us.
I'm sure I wish I had a vote, but I have no vote, and what can a girl do? I'm so sorry I don't understand politics. If we were going in for that sort of thing, I don't know what there would be left for the gentlemen to do.
You have influence, which is a great deal better than a vote. And they all say there is nobody like a lady for electioneering.
It is so cold, and I do think it is coming on to snow very fast, Mrs. Woodburn, and I have a great deal still to do.
Oh. Well, Harry will be sure to come to call, and you will not forget what I've said to you, Lucilla.
No, certainly not. Goodbye.
Look at her, in her warm sealskin coat. Oh, if Harry had only not been such a fool 10 years ago.
Yes. This was how Lucilla commenced that effective but decorous advocacy which did Mr. Ashburton so much good in Carlingford. Sir John Richmond and the doctor and Colonel Chiley were all on his committee, and the people of Grange Lane began to see that what was really wanted was not this or that opinion, but a good man. 2 or 3 days after this, Miss Marshbanks had agreed to let Maria Brown take half a dozen photographs of her.
I know she will make me look a perfect fright, but I have something particular to say to the Major.
Lucilla, You can talk to Papa while I develop things.
Thank goodness. Of course, Major, you are on Mr. Ashburton's committee. You must be, after what you said the other day at lunch.
What did I say?
He was turning it all over in his mind, you know, and was afraid the people he most esteemed in Carlingford would not agree with him. And then you said, what did it matter about opinions if it was a good man? That was what influenced him.
Yeah, I'm sure I never thought of influencing anybody.
You never do, Papa.
It's true enough about a good man, you know, but, by George, it was you that said it, Lucilla. I remember now.
Please don't make fun of me, as if anybody cared what I said about politics. But I know that was what decided poor Mr. Ashburton. And when he finds you did not need anything...
Heavens, I did mean something.
Beg pardon, Miss Lucilla. You said to come and tell you if you was wanted at home.
Yes, Edward, thank you. That will be Mr. Ashburton come to call. I must go, Major. Thank you, Maria. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Dear me.
Good morning, Mr. Ashburton.
Miss Marshbanks, how are you?
It makes such a difference to life when one has something on one's mind.
You want your lunch, my dear?
Perhaps I do, Aunt. I've been sitting to Maria Brown next door. She has taken 6, and I'm sure they're every one more hideous than the other.
These amateurs are terrible people, and photographs are a regular nuisance. For my
Don't
part,
say that. You must sit to her, please.
Maybe.
I have said already she must do one of you, and I will tell you about the Major. Edward?
Mr. Cavendish, Miss.
Miss Marshbank.
Oh. Well, so you have really come back? I'm so glad. Oh, don't look at me, please. I know as well as if you had told me that you think me dreadfully gone off.
I entertained such a profane idea.
But he was a great deal stouter.
And rather red in the face.
And altogether coarser and different from what he used to be.
Have I really gone off as much as he has?
No.
Aunt Jemima, this is Mr. Cavendish, whom you've heard so much about. And don't go, please, Mr. Ashburton. You two must know each other. I suppose you will have to shake hands or something on the hustings, so it will be much the best to begin it here.
Mr. Ashburton. Mr. Cavendish.
Well, please sit down and talk a little. I'm so proud of having you both together. Dear Aunt Jemima, would you mind ringing the bell? I've been sitting to Maria Brown and I'm almost fainting for my lunch. I wish you gentlemen would sit to her, for your constituents, you know.
Well, I hope you don't want me to look like one of Maria Brown's photographs to my constituents. But then I am happy to say they all know me pretty well.
Yes, but you are a little changed since then. A little, perhaps, just a little stouter and...
Gone off? Why doesn't that fellow go away? What has he to do in Lucilla's drawing room?
What indeed?
Oh, you know, going off doesn't matter for a gentleman. Mr. Ashburton, I'm sure the Major wants to see you. He was here that day at lunch, you know, and it was something he said that decided you.
It's quite true. I shall go to see him at once.
You see, this is what I call interesting. It is trying to an old friend to hear of that day at lunch when one has been banished for 1,000 years.
Yes, one leaves all that behind, you know. I wish we could always be 20 for my part. I always said, you know, that I should be gone off in 10 years.
Oh, never. Was it the only fib you ever told that you repeated so?
Luncheon is ready, Miss Lucilla.
Thank you, Edward. Shall we go down? Must you go, Mr. Ashburton, when lunch is on the table?
Oh, well...
But then, to be sure, you will be in time at the Browns.
Ah, yes. Thank you for telling me of it, Miss Marshbanks.
But you have gone off in some things, you know, when you have to do with a freak like Ashburton.
Mr. Ashburton is very well bred and agreeable. I wish all the young men I see nowadays were as nice.
Young men? Is that what people call young nowadays? He must be insane, you know, or he would never dream of representing a town without saying a single word about his principles. I dare say he thinks it is original.
I don't pretend to know anything about politics.
That is a delusion, like the going off. I cannot believe that you have gone over to the enemy, when I remember how different it might have been and whose fault it all was.
Yes. Yes. Have you ever seen her again?
I did not think, after what I once said to you, Miss Marshbanks, that you would continue to insult my judgment in that way. I am going going to begin my canvass tomorrow. I have not seen anybody yet. I have nobody but my sister to take me in hand, you know. There was once a time when it might have been different.
Yes, there was a time when you were the most popular man in Grange Lane.
You don't give a man much encouragement, by Jove. Well, it may be vanity, but I flatter myself I shall still be found the most popular man in Grange Lane.
And he decided to put it to the test as soon as he had left Miss Marshbanks by calling on the Major.
You know what I have come home about, Major, and I'm sure I can count upon you to support me.
I'm sure I shall be very glad to welcome.
Thank you. Then I hope you'll come and have a talk with Woodburn and send him about my canvass.
Well, to tell the truth, I've been so unfortunate as to commit myself, you know. It's quite involuntary, I'm sure.
Papa never will perceive the weight that is attached to his opinion.
But the fact is, nobody had any idea that you were coming back, my dear fellow. Sure.
Mr. Cavendish went up Grange Lane with his hands in his pockets and tried to think that he did not care. But he did care all the same, and was very bitter in his mind.
Good Lord! Cavendish! Is this you?
Centum, old man!
Good Lord! You're stouter than I am, old fellow. In fact, not donors as you used to be. What have you been doing with yourself since you came, that nobody's seen you? If you're to do any good here, you know, we shall have to look alive.
I have been ill. You would not have a man to trudge about at this time of the year in all weathers when he is ill.
I would not be ill again if I were you. I tell you, that fellow Ashburton knows what he's about.
It is Lucilla Marshbanks who is putting him up to it. You know she has an old grudge at me.
Oh, nonsense. I can tell you Ashburton is going to work in the cunningest way. And he's not a ladies' man like you, eh? But I'm afraid you can't go into that sort of thing as you used to, Cavendish. Now you've grown so stout, eh?
And he's one of my supporters.
Dear me.
Stop a minute, man. Cavendish.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
If we'd only known that you were coming, why didn't you give us warning before we all went and committed ourselves?
Yes, that's what the Major said.
Well, I can't wish you luck, you know. But if you win, we lose.
Oh, I don't suppose there can be much comparison between my chance and that of a new man who nobody ever heard of in my time. I thought you Scotchmen always liked to be on the winning side.
We've a way of making our side the winning side. Health all right, I hope. You're getting stout, I see.
Yes, I'm very well.
You young men always go too fast. Have you heard Woodburn talking of that great crash in town? That India House, you know? I suppose it's quite true.
Oh, quite true. I got all the particulars today in a letter. And lots of private people involved. Widows. And all sorts of superannuated folk.
I'm very sorry to hear it's true. Well, good day to you. Drive on.
Good day. I believe he's involved in that crash. Serves him right for deserting his friends.
The doctor was not a demonstrative man, but when he was alone, you could tell by certain lines about his countenance whether all was right with him. And it was easy to see as he drove off that all was not right with the doctor. But he did not say anything about it when he got home.
But when a man does not disclose his annoyances, they always tell upon him in the end.
True. In the days that followed, Mr. Ashburton's canvass went on very successfully, and Lucilla was exceedingly active, much to her satisfaction.
Generally speaking, when a woman has an active mind and does not care for parish work, it is a little hard for her to find a sphere.
Of course, you have your Thursdays.
Oh, they are almost a bore now. The machinery is all perfect and goes on by itself. I'm afraid that my capabilities are greater than my work.
Gleams of possibilities crossed her mind as she walked home. Among them,
the idea of making a great experiment which could only be carried out by a woman of genius.
Of marrying a poor man.
And being an example to unborn generations. I must think of something. For after the election and all the excitement is over...
Lucilla! Is that you?
Oh, Papa! What are you doing walking in all this snow?
I've been down to see Mrs. Chiley. She has a rheumatism very bad again. The horse has been so long out that I thought I would walk home.
Dear Mrs. Chiley, she's not very bad, I hope.
Oh, the poor old machine is just about breaking up, that is all. We can cobble it this once, but next time...
Don't talk in such a disheartening way, Papa.
We can't run on forever, you know. If you had been a boy like that stupid fella Tom, you might have carried on my practice, Lucilla, and even extended it, I shouldn't wonder.
But I am not a boy, Papa.
No, you would make somebody a capital wife, I can say that for you, eh? Seriously, Lucilla, I'm not so sure about some things as I once was, and I'd rather like to see you well settled before... well, it's a kind of prejudice a man has.
Before what, Papa?
Oh, before long, to be sure. Ashburton would not be at all amiss if he liked it, and you liked it. But it's no use making any suggestions about those things, so long as you don't marry a fool. But I advise you to marry Lucilla. I don't think you're cut out for a single woman for my part.
But, Papa, so long as I can be a comfort to you.
Ah, yes, but I can't live forever, you know. You've shown a great deal of good sense, more than I gave you credit for when you commenced. But...
But what?
It's not so pleasant as I thought walking over the snow. I can't give up the horse, that I can see.
Papa?
There, go in, don't wait for me. But mind you make haste and dress, for I want my dinner. I may have to go down to Mrs. Chiley again tonight.
Sure enough, after dinner he was called out, and made his appearance in the drawing room afterwards with a flake of new-fallen snow still upon his whiskers. But Mrs. Chiley was better.
I said you would go down and see her tomorrow, Lucilla.
Yes, Papa.
They say Cavendish has got hold of the rector. He has made believe to be penitent, you know. And if the rector can't be won back, it will be serious, the Colonel says. You are to try if you can suggest anything. Well, I'll say good night to you now, Mrs. John.
Good night.
Good night, Lucilla.
Good night, Papa.
My dear, I don't think my brother-in-law looks well tonight. If I were you, Lucilla, I would get him to take something before he goes to bed.
Dear Aunt Jemima, he never takes anything. You forget he is a doctor. It always puts him out when he has to go out in the evening. I hope nobody rings the bell for him tonight.
But the snow cushioned the wire of the bell, and the doctor slept within, and no one disturbed him. Next morning, the news swept over Carlingford like a breath of wind.
Dead? How can he be dead?
I tell you, Dr. Marshbanks is dead.
Died in the night without calling anybody.
The doctor? Dead? Impossible, Edward.
It's true, Mr. Hall. I found him myself, stiff and cold.
He cannot be the doctor. He was always a healthy man, and a great deal younger than we are. It must have been a mistake for me.
Well, I'm sorry for it. Profoundly sorry.
Who can we find now who knows the children's constitution so well? And then, what about Lucilla?
It will make a terrible change for her.
The house will have to be shut up.
There will be nobody to organise society.
What will she do? Will she have strength to make an effort?
It's my fault. When I saw how he was looking and how he was talking, I should never have left him. If I had only sat up. Things can never be the same again. They buried the doctor with the greatest signs of respect. People from 20 miles off sent their carriages, and Mr. Cavendish and Mr. Ashburton walked side by side at the funeral, which was an affecting sight to see. Lucilla sat in her room and cried.
Sacrificed child. You know, Lucilla, you can always come to me.
Thank you, dear Aunt Jemima. What would I do without you at such a time? I'm sure it is what what dear Papa would have
My
wished.
dear, they said I was to prepare you, but how can I? I feel as if I never could forgive my brother-in-law, that he should bring you up like this and then... Oh!
Don't speak so of... What is it? Say it right out.
He has left you without a farthing. He that was always thought to be so rich.
But the will...
It is quite true. He has gone and died and left nothing, Lucilla. All his money was invested in that old India house that crashed just a week before he died. The solicitor, John Black, is coming to tell you about it tomorrow.
I had a short interview with him just after the news of the crash. The doctor bore it like a man. All he said was, "Poor Lucilla," to himself, you know, Miss Marshbanks.
Dear Papa.
Then he said, "I am making a good deal of money, and I may live long enough to lay by a little still." He was a good man, Miss Marshbanks.
Nobody can know what a good father he was, Mr. Black.
Well, it is not quite hopeless. There is the house, which is a very good house, and a little money in the funds, which is all your own and cannot be lost. And there's the business, the best practice in Carlingford.
What does that matter? Everybody has begun to send for Dr. Ryder already.
Yes, but Ryder is a very honourable fellow and would be glad to make some arrangement, though he is not rich, of course. You could add probably another 100 a year to your income if you let the house to him and his family.
This was a course Lucilla had not considered.
Let the house? Surely my natural course is to stay still where I am.
Has Mr. Black gone, Lucilla?
Yes, Aunt.
And did he tell you anything? Anything satisfactory, I mean?
It was a comfort to hear it. It was something about dear Papa. After he heard of that, you know, he said, "Poor Lucilla." I'm so glad he said it.
You might well say poor Lucilla. And did you not hear anything more important? I mean, in a worldly point of view.
He says I will have 200 a year, and the house is mine.
Oh, come now, that's not so bad. Well, the house would bring you in another 100, Lucilla. With the Riders, I am sure, would take it directly, and perhaps the furniture, too. Well, 300 would not be so bad for a single woman. Did you say anything about the furniture, my dear? There's a little chiffonier upstairs.
I think I shall stay in the house. You may think it silly, Aunt Jemima, but...
Stay in the house? It would be simple madness.
And all the world agreed with Aunt Jemima.
Indeed.
Colonel Triley came with his proposal.
I think the best that Lucilla can do is to come to us. She'll be the same as at home and always somebody to look after her.
I am sure, Colonel Triley, it is a very kind offer. But she says she will stay here.
Here? What does she mean by here?
Here, Colonel Triley, in this great big melancholy house.
Here?
Oh.
By Jove, I think she must have lost her senses. Why, you couldn't keep up this house under 1,500 a year, at least. The doctor spent a mint of money. You must be going out of your senses, Lucilla.
Unless she were to take inmates.
Inmates? Lord bless my soul, what do you mean, ma'am? Lucilla, put on your bonnet directly and come and have a little fresh air. She'll soon be an inmate herself if we leave her here.
Dear Colonel Triley, I'm in my own house that wants no expense nor changing.
Yes, but...
And if Nancy will not mind standing by me, then maybe, with one good maid, Betsy, I think. Of course, I shall have to let Edward go.
It's a sad time for us all, Miss Lucilla.
Yes, Edward. But after your long service here, you will have no difficulty in getting as good a place. And you know that anything I can say...
Thank you, miss. It was not exactly that as I was thinking of. I've set my heart on a little business. If you would be so kind as to speak a word for me to the gentleman as has the licence.
What kind of business, Edward?
Well, miss, a kind of a quiet, public house. And not one of they drinking places, miss, as I know ladies can't abide. But many a man, as is a very decent man, wants his pint of beer now and again, and they're little sort of clubs of the night, as well as the gentlefolks.
I am sure you are quite right, Edward.
And I hope you will always try to exert a good influence.
Oh, miss.
What is all that noise and shouting out of doors?
Oh, it's one of the candidates, miss. There's addressing of the bargemen at the top of Brickett's Lane.
Ah, but you cannot do anything of that kind, you know, without a wife.
Yes, that was just what I was going to say. Me and Betsy was
I had hoped... No. It's a pity you had not got your little inn 6 months or a year ago, for then you might have been able to vote for Mr. Ashburton, Edward. I had forgotten about the election until now.
Not as that needn't stand in the way, miss. There's Betsy's brother as has it now, and he ain't made up his mind about his vote. And if he knowed it'd be any comfort to you, he'd vote.
Of course it will be a comfort to me. Go and speak to him directly, Edward.
Right you are, miss.
And here's one of Mr. Ashburton's colours that I made up myself. And tell him that there can be no doubt he is the best man for Carlingford.
Yes, miss.
And send Nancy up to me.
Yes, miss.
And I hope you and Betsy will be very happy.
Thank you, miss.
I am not done with yet, and thank heaven there must always be something to do. Come in, Nancy. Come in and shut the door.
Yes, miss.
You had better sit down, for I have a great deal to say.
Thank all the same, Miss Lucilla, but I ain't too old to stand.
Nancy, I want to tell you what I'm going to do. Don't stand at the door. I want to consult you as a friend.
What is it, Miss Lucilla? Though I ain't pretending to be one to advise.
You know how things are changed, and that I can't stay here as I used to. But I think, you know, if I was one of those ladies that have a faithful old servant to stand by them, and never to grumble nor make a fuss, nor go in for expensive dishes, one that wouldn't mind cooking a chop or making a cup of tea, if that was all we could afford, why, I think, Nancy...
And me here? Me, as has done for you all your days? Me, as would... If it was but a roast potato.
I shall only have 200 a year. Now, don't be rash. You used to spend as much in gravy beef.
Oh, Miss Lucilla, let bygones be bygones. If I did, it wasn't without many a little something for them as was too poor to bite for themselves. For I never was one as boiled the senses out of a bit of meat. And the doctor, he never grudged a bit of broken meat for the poor folks.
Soon after this, the Grange Lane ladies began to resume their habit of gathering in Lucilla's drawing room around that afternoon cup of tea, which Nancy could not be got to think was an extravagance.
All I hope is that Barbara Lake does not come back to Carlingford to throw herself in Mr. Cavendish's way. It would do him so much harm with the rector and the dissenters. But oh, I forgot, Priscilla. You were on the other side.
I am on no side now, Mrs. Sainton. And Barbara was as old as I am, you know, and she must have gone off.
I have no doubt she has gone off. As old as you, Lucilla? She must be 10 years older at least. And such a shocking style of looks. And you have not gone off at all, my poor dear.
The fact was that although Lucilla had not expected to look well in her mourning...
Black is not my style, you know.
She was looking better than ever she did. And Mr. Ashburton had taken to call in a steady sort of way.
To bring news of the election, you know.
Yes. For now, the election began to grow a little exciting. Mr. Ashburton had carried all before him at first, but since the rector had come into the field, the balance had changed.
In my view, Mr. Ashburton is a man with a clear conscience who has done his duty.
Quite. So, of course, he had no chance against Mr. Cavendish.
A repentant sinner. A penitent.
The fact is, Miss Marshbanks, that the rector is by no means contemptible, either as an adversary or a supporter. The feeling is rising very high in Carlingford.
You know you will have all my best wishes, Mr. Ashburton.
If I succeed, I know whom I shall thank the most.
And he clasped Lucilla's hand almost tenderly after this interview and went out in a kind of bewilderment.
Would she, I wonder? Would she?
As for Lucilla,
She was not in the way of asking herself any questions at that moment.
Indeed, she never even asked a single question about Tom's last letter.
I am letting things take their course.
Ah. It was just 2 days before the election, and all seemed going on sufficiently well. Mr. Cavendish had been meeting a dissenting committee, and afterwards found himself walking down
Grove Street. Oh, Barbara. What a voice she had, by Jove. Very different from that shrill pipe of Lucilla's.
Just then, there whisked past him the figure of a large woman, in a gown of that peculiar kind of silk which looks and rustles like tin. She walked quickly up to Mr. Leg's door and went in. And then Mr. Cavendish came level with the parlour window, which somebody opened, though the evening was so cold.
Good heavens!
It has been already mentioned in this history that a contralto had a special charm for Mr. Cavendish.
Oh!
Somehow, he found himself sitting on the little sofa in Mr. Leg's parlour, as he used to do 10 years ago, without knowing how he came there.
It was all a kind of enchantment.
And it was Barbara who sat at the piano singing. Barbara had gone off. Like himself, she had expanded all over, as was natural to a contralto.
Now, tell me something about yourself. I hear you have been away, like me.
Not like you. For you went because you pleased.
Why did you?
Because I could not stay here any longer. Because I was talked about and looked down upon. Well, never mind. That's all. I'm very glad to see you, Mr. Cavendish. As a friend.
We were once very good friends, Barbara. We have lost sight of each other for a long time, as people do in this world. But we were once very good friends.
Yes. But since we have lost sight of each other for so long, I don't see why you should call me Barbara. It would be more becoming to say Miss Lake.
I don't know how I am to learn to say Miss Lake when you sing as you have just been doing. I suppose you say so because you find me changed.
I don't see any difference.
Barbara.
When he was coming out of the house, he met with the chief of his dissenting supporters and the rector's church warden. The look in their eyes said icy cold.
I staked my honour upon Mr. Cavendish's repentance, and here he is going back publicly to... Whoa, my! And on the eve of the Sabbath, too!
And, of course, the news reached us.
Really, Mr. Ashburton, what harm was there in going to see her? The rest is mere gossip.
Yes, but it will do him a great deal of harm all the same. I suppose it is of no use asking if you will join Lady Richmond's party at Blue Ball tomorrow? To watch the voting? I did not think you would. Then I must say adieu, until it is all over.
Towards noon, Mr. Ashburton sent her the bulletin of the poll.
Cavendish, 283. Ashburton, 275. Well, it's only noon.
But at the hustings...
Look! Lady Richmond, over there! Where? There! Isn't that Barbara Lake?
Poor Barbara had come, in her tin dress, with her young brother Carmine, to see if her friend would win. The onlookers lost all thought of the election as they watched, and lo, when their wandering thoughts came back again, the tide had turned. Whether it was Barbara, or fate, or the deadly unanimity of the dissenters, no one could tell. But by 2 o'clock, Mr. Ashburton felt himself justified in sending another bulletin to Lucilla.
It is all right, Aunt. Mr. Ashburton is 100 ahead, and they can never make up that. There will be quantities of people coming to have a cup of tea. I must speak to Nancy.
Oh, dear. Cups of tea for quantities of people. On £200 a year.
Mr. Ashburton felt very nearly sure that Lucilla would be his wife. He had just won one victory, which naturally made him feel more confident.
Miss Marshbanks, I shall always think I owe my success to you.
Oh, dear, no. I only felt sure that you were the best man for Carlingford.
I wish I were called the best man for something else. I would thank you for being so kind to me if I did not hope. If I was not so anxious that you should be something more than kind. It may be vain of me, but... What is the matter? Good heavens! Is it possible that I have taken you quite by surprise?
Oh, no. It was just... I saw a cab on Grange Lane, driving very fast, you know. Mr. Ashburton, I always thought, up to this very last moment... Papa's bell!
Oh. I will go and see what it means. Someone has mistaken the bells.
Oh, dear.
I will return immediately.
Who on earth? It is the whole table and all the cards. Oh, thank heavens.
Lucilla!
Tom! Of course it is you. Nobody else would be so impertinent. And with a great beard. In such an unexpected...
Lucilla! I could not trust myself to write, but I felt I ought to be beside you.
I'm very glad. I would say you were changed. That would make you think how I am changed. And one knows what has gone off.
I never saw you look so nice in all your life.
Oh, Tom, don't say so. If you but knew how different the house is and everything so altered. And dear Papa...
Don't cry, Lucilla. I can't bear it. It's natural to see you cry.
Oh, Tom, you rang his bell. Though nobody ever touches it now. I knew it could be nobody but you.
Lucilla, it was not for my uncle I came back. I went to India because you sent me away. And I have come back...
You have not come back only for an hour, I hope. You have not seen your mother.
I have come back to stay as long as you will let me. Look here, Lucilla. If you had married, I would have tried to bear it. But as long as you are not married, I can't help feeling as if there might be some chance for me yet. I met somebody coming downstairs.
Tom, it is dreadful to see that you have come back just as tiresome as ever.
Someone came downstairs as I came in. I want to know whether it is to be him or me.
Him or you? I am not such a wonderful beauty, nor such a witch, that everybody who sees me should want to marry me.
They would if they were of my way of thinking. Lucilla, this is what I've come home for. Will you have him or me?
I am not going to be tyrannized over like this. Let me go.
Never. Will you have him or me?
I would not have him if he were to go down on his knees, whatever you or anybody may say.
Then after all, it is to be me. It is to be me after all. Oh, Lucilla, say it is to be me.
Oh, Tom. Yes, I suppose so.
Oh, Lucilla.
Mr. Ashburton went away from Lucilla's side, thinking to come back again and clear everything up. But he did not come back. It is to be supposed that instinct came to his aid.
Poor Mr. Ashburton.
Yes. However, when Lucilla had time to consider the prospect which had so suddenly opened before her, it also had its difficulties.
My dear Tom, the thing that we both want is something to do.
That is what I want.
Yes. Well, I will tell you what to do if you want to please me. You will take all our money and realise it, whatever that means, and go off directly and buy an estate.
An estate? But Lucilla, it's not so easy buying an estate. And then it doesn't pay.
And the estate was in the Carlingford Gazette this morning. Tom, it is Marshbank that I want you to buy. You know how Papa used to talk of it and explain how that was the correct pronunciation of our name? We would be the Marshbanks of Marshbank.
Well, there's a lot in what you say, Lucilla. I'll have to think it over.
And there's a village near the gates, with every kind of village nuisance. Such disorder and disarray, Tom. My fingers itch to be at it.
Soon, all Carlingford was talking about the new plan.
Tom Marshbanks is the most straightforward and clear-headed client in all my experience as a solicitor. He had the preliminaries arranged before anyone else had even thought about it.
He had the house full of workmen before anybody even knew it was his.
He's ordered all the curtains and carpets for the new drawing room already. Pale green.
To suit Lucilla's complexion, I suppose. For my part, I think it's a risk. Green is a very trying colour.
Indeed. But it was a most touching proof that, to Tom at least, Lucilla had not even begun to go off.
That was the final episode of Miss Marshbanks by Margaret Oliphant, dramatised by Elizabeth Proud.